Like many of you watching, I bought one of these Maxi trac NAPA air compressors last year because it's double the speed of the ARB Twin and it was $114. That said, most of the mods that you're going to see us do to this compressor today can be done to any compressor, so if you want to figure out a way to make your cheap compressor function and have the reliability of an expensive compressor, I hope this will give you some ideas. I had a feeling that if I opened up this compressor, I would find a bunch of little things that I want to upgrade, and sure enough, that's definitely what the case is. Whoever assembled this thing put like tons of waxy lubricant on one side and the other side is bone dry. So first things first, I'm gonna clean this all out and probably use some Vaseline or something around this seal on the piston. And then the first upgrade that I wanna do is I wanna drill and tap the hole for this air outlet hose because we gotta get rid of this hose. It is cheap, this is really cheap rubber and it gets hot, so I can tell that it's not gonna last very long. And then I wanna drill and tap another hole for a pressure switch. And then I've got a whole bunch of other ideas that I haven't seen done to any of these compressors before, so we're gonna do a little bit of experimentation today. After some basic calculations using some charts that I found online, I was able to determine that the hole size on the outlet is a little bit too small for the advertised CFM of the compressor. So for that reason, we're going to upgrade to a bigger fitting on the compressor. We're going to go to soft copper, and the new inner diameter should be big enough to support all the mods that we're trying to do. When I find a good deal on ammo cans, I like to buy them up because you just never know when you might need them. And I've got a whole bunch of different sizes and stuff in the shop just for this exact situation. I mean, this can couldn't fit more perfect. So what the next step is going to be adapting soft copper to our fitting here. And the reason I want to do that is because it gets super hot right out of this manifold. And I could tell by how hot this rubber piece was getting that this was going to be a one-way ticket to Explosion Town. It was not going to be good. So what I want to do next is we're going to route soft copper out of here, like you're going to see in a compressor that you'd have at your house. It's always got a chunk of soft copper or something that can allow it to let that heat dissipate. So we're going to use the soft copper connection to go to a manifold that we're going to build out of aluminum, and then from that manifold we can adapt a whole bunch of these different pieces that are going to make this way more usable. Next time you're around a full-size compressor, go and check out the little tube that comes from the compressor itself into the tank. And I bet what you're going to find is a small chunk of copper. And this is because it's really hot coming out of there, and anything that's not made out of metal is going to slowly degrade and probably burst. I know that it's considerably easier to just connect a soft air line right out of where the existing connection was, but we're trying to improve this thing. And I think that giving this unit the ability to dissipate some heat before the air goes into our nylon line is going to make our compressor hose last a heck of a lot longer. check it out. I think that some people might believe that this looks like a backyard mechanic made it, and that's because a backyard mechanic did, but I think it looks kind of dope. And we've opened up the smallest hole that we had in the system. We're giving this the ability to dissipate heat better, and it's even expandable. We can port more holes into our manifold if we decide to add anything in the future, which is killer. Plus, I mean, the real big benefit is the fact that now we can use just a standard air hose. So the next thing that we need to upgrade is, in my opinion, the most important upgrade of this entire video. That's going to be upgrading the electrical. We have this mystery board that if one of these capacitors fails or one of these resistors fails, you think the compressor is going to work anymore? I don't think it's going to work anymore. So what I want to do is eliminate this board altogether. We're just going to have two switches in the system, a pressure switch, and then we're going to have a relay. This is a 200 amp continuous relay. This is a 90 amp compressor. So this is way more than we need, but that usually equates to longevity. And if one of these electrical components fails, we can replace it. If something on this board fails, I can't replace it. This isn't something that is a serviceable device. So we're gonna eliminate that altogether. We're gonna make it to where hopefully we can add some longevity and a little bit more reliability to this compressor. And then, oh yeah, one of the most important parts. These wires were getting super hot whenever I was using the compressor before. By the time I get to the fourth tire, these wires were hot. And not only that, these, I don't know how long these are gonna last before they're not gonna grab a battery anymore, but they're cheap, they're cheesy. So the wires are getting hot, and that's usually an indication that the wires are undersized. I went online and I calculated it out, and these are actually just about basically the bare minimum size for this compressor, and it shows with how hot they're getting. So what I did is I went on Amazon, I spent $20 on some 4-gauge jumper cables, and what it can do, not only are these like really big upgrade as far as the clamps themselves, but this wire is not gonna get hot, I guarantee it, because this is much larger than what we had on here before. This is, in theory, gonna make the compressor work better if this really was undersized. And I'm not gonna be worried about melting the shielding because I have to fill up tires on a couple different rigs. So, enough talking, let's get started. Going into this, I knew that on paper it should be as simple as hooking up heavy-duty relay in line instead of this circuit board, but I wanted to hook up the power probe and I wanted to double check that there's not some voltage drop or voltage increase that happens after the board and that I end up frying the compressor because I'm giving it a true 12 to 14.4 volts whenever the vehicle's running. The voltage was exactly the same after the board as it was before the board, so I was completely comfortable with chopping this stuff out of the way, hooking up the relay, and moving forward with the project. This will give us good pressure in short bursts. The pressure switch that I use is a 70 to 90, meaning that if it goes above 90, it'll shut off. If it goes below 70, it'll turn back on. And that's because I look at a compressor like this as being a high flow compressor, not a high pressure compressor. And I think that if I put a higher pressure switch in it, it would probably damage it over time. So I'm gonna just play it safe, use a lower pressure switch. So it does good with short bursts, which is nice because if we want to just like blow out an air filter on a truck real quick, or if we want to blow the dew off our rooftop tent before we put it away, Those short bursts are great for that. But if you want to actually use air tools with this, it's just not made for that. Without a tank. So if you mount a tank somewhere in your truck, this could totally be made for that. If you're gonna have a standalone unit like this, it's not gonna work. It's just not enough flow. Now, that being said, if any of you are watching this and you're wanting to adapt some of these ideas to your own compressor, I will leave an Amazon shopping cart link in the description of this video, and you can just click on that link. You can click on the name of this video in the list, and then it'll have a whole bunch of these parts and pieces if you want to see exactly where I got them. This is all cheap stuff. It's all off of Amazon. There's some Harbor Freight fittings in here and some just random stuff from Home Depot. But I think that we made a big step forward today. And I think that this is a part one. If this video does okay and you guys like it, then I will probably do a part two, because without having it in the ammo can, I see the potential to burn yourself on some of this stuff. So I would love to build some sort of a really cool cover that would cover up a bunch of this. I might put a switch on it. I don't know. I think that there's still room for improvement. I'm about to go camping for 9 days and use this thing, and I'll probably come up with a bunch more ideas. So if you want to see a part two to this, and we could just continue to max this thing out, who knows? Maybe I'll even pull the heads out of here and port them a little bit bigger just to see if it makes a difference. If you want to see that kind of thing, let me know in the comments. Also, I have 2 more questions. For those of you that know petroleum-based products really well, what should I lubricate the inside of this compressor with? Tell me in the comments. I will pin it so those of us that aren't familiar with what products are going to be safe inside of a tire, if a little bit of vapor gets in there, then I can share that with the other people that are interested in that kind of information like I am. And then the last thing. Do any of you know where I can get another one of these? NAPA has been sold out since I bought this. I bought this in December, and I've been wanting to buy a second one because I think it's a really good deal, even though the price is up. I bought this for 114 bucks. It's like 149 now. I would like to buy more. So also, please give us a link that we can go and buy these if we're interested. Thank you so much for watching the video. I'm gonna play around with air hose and see if I can make some sort of a multi-tire filler thing. We'll see you on the next one.